everyone. It's officially summer and I know I'm having fun.
Me too, except for here, Cathi, they call it the rainy season. It's not
Oh,
summer. It's just the rainy
the
season.
rainy season. Well, that's too bad. We're having lots and lots of sunshine here.
Good.
Um, so this week we're going back to season one to our conversation with Alexia Gordon, Dr. Alexia Gordon, I might add. Something that's great about Alexia is she's turned out to be a great friend. She's a really good cozy writer. And very impressively, she just added another degree to her collection. And she just graduated from the Naval War College with a master's degree.
I know, that's amazing.
Oh,
I'm just like, this woman is so accomplished. I just can't even. And she's so nice. But
so
anyway,
fun.
we had a lot of fun when we recorded the episode during Sleuthfest
Yeah.
because we were all together, which is
Yeah.
always fun. And then we had lots of wine and laughing and talking. It was a lot of fun, wasn't it?
It was super fun. I really miss those conferences. I can't wait to get back to it.
Yeah.
Alexia also has a podcast of her own that she started shortly after that conference, and it's great. It's Alexia's Cozy Corner, I think, with Alexia Gordon.
Yeah. And she, in addition to these cozy mysteries set in Ireland, which Cathi, you're going to have to say the name of the cozy mysteries.
Gethsemane Brown Mysteries. I
Yeah,
do.
you're
I
so
trip
good
a
at
little bit.
that.
No, it's a practice because I had introduced it on the podcast, so I really had to. For some reason, I trip over Gethsemane.
I know, me
Gethsemane.
too. Me
I
too.
got
That's
it.
why I made you do it. I don't know what, when I go to Ireland, I'm going to have to learn it, I guess.
Right? Right?
So, yeah, so she's got that in the cozy corner. So,
Yeah, it's great.
yeah.
So read her books, listen to her podcast, but first enjoy this redux of our Corks in Conversation with Alexia Gordon.
We are here at Sleuthfest 2019, the premier mystery writers conference in South Florida, and so excited to talk to some of the great authors holding workshops here for both new and seasoned mystery writers.
Yes, and we are so pleased to be sitting here with Alexia Gordon, a faculty author here at Sleuthfest. She's the author of 4 books in the Gethsemane Brown Mystery series, the latest of which is Fatality in F.
Say it however you want, baby.
Fatality in F.
There, that sounds
I like
good.
it.
Okay.
Alexia took up her writing again after medical school and attended the SMU's Writer's Path program in Dallas. Her first book, published in 2016, won the Lefty Award for Best Debut. She was also nominated for an Agatha Award, as well as being named one of Suspense Magazine's best debuts. In addition to her medical practice, writing the Gethsemane Brown series, she also blogs at misdemeanors.com and femmefatales.com. Alexia, we are so happy to have you here today. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here.
Wonderful.
Okay, so before we get into the conversation, let me tell everybody a little bit about the wine we're drinking today. Alexia, you said you like whiskey first and foremost, but we could settle for a red wine. So tonight we have a little of both, with the Apothic Inferno described as a wine with a whiskey soul. So let's have a taste.
All right.
Cheers.
Wait, yeah, gotta cheers
Cheers.
first. Cheers. Cheers.
Ooh, that's good.
It's nice.
That's bold.
It is bold. Yeah, it is.
It definitely
I
has
like
that little
this.
whiskey finish.
I
really
know.
does.
See, I'm not a
know.
whiskey drinker, so I don't really know what that means.
It's kind of like slightly peppery, slightly burning, but not gasoline burn.
Oh,
kind of
yes.
taste on your tongue.
So it's
Very
described,
nice.
it's been aged in charred white oak whiskey barrels for 60 days. And this wine it's a blend, blends the red, dark fruit flavors of its wine with the layers of maple and spice, which I do, and that, sometimes, I don't know, I've tasted whiskey before that had almost a maple flavor to it. I don't know why. Maybe that just goes good together, so maybe that's why they have it.
So they actually, though, they do put them in whiskey barrels.
Yes. Yep. And
So
it
that
gives
must-
way to a long, clean finish. So what do you think?
I'm going to try it again because now I've heard the description. I actually want to.
I know, but I can taste whiskey in it, I think.
You know, it is
What
a
do you
very.
think? Yeah, Alexia's enjoying it.
I lick my lips.
It's intense, but it does have a really nice, smooth finish.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep. So we're gonna be. I wonder what the alcohol content. I didn't look at that. Hopefully, it's not as strong as whiskey.
No, it's only
By the end of the interview, you'll be able to tell. Okay.
It's only 15.9%.
Well,
That's a little high for wine. But
Yeah.
that's good. We can handle it.
Okay.
We're seasoned.
We are seasoned. We are seasoned. So let's start talking with you about your books. That's what we're here to do, right? So the fourth in the Gethsemane Brown series just came out.
Yes.
Fatality in F. You can
Yes.
get it wherever books are sold.
Yes, Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can order it from your bookstore, get it directly from the publisher.
Nice. So in the first one, Murder in G Major, which was out in just two years ago or 3 years?
2016.
Okay,
September
2016. Gethsemane, who I love, was a bit stuck. Let's say down and out in Ireland, which, really, if you're going to be down and out, it's not the worst place to be down and out, but she was down and out, okay?
Now, have you spent time there?
Yes, I went once when I was in college, and then my present to myself when my first book came out was a trip back to Ireland.
Oh, that's such a good present.
I know.
I love that.
Yep.
In the first first one in the series, Murder in G Major, Gethsemane was a bit stuck in Ireland, right? So it looks like she's happily staying now after the fourth. So are there more in the series coming?
Yes, I actually just got my edits back from my editor on book 5, Execution in E.
Execution E.
I like it.
They're actually due at the end of next month, so that book should be out sometime in early 2020, I believe. And I actually have a contract for 10 books, so
Wow.
I'm about halfway through.
Oh,
Are you
wow.
going to run out of musical letters?
No, because there's majors and
Yes,
minors.
I can
We're
add the
good?
sharps and
Yeah.
majors and minors. So I think I can come up with enough
B flat.
notes.
I love that.
I just have to match up words related
Right.
to murder with the notes. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
That's
I think that's what I
awesome.
would do first when I got 10 book order. I'd be like, ooh, this title. Ooh, this title.
Okay, so did you get a contract for 10 books initially?
No, I got a contract for 3 books initially, and then I got a second contract for books 4 through 10.
Oh, congratulations.
Same publisher.
That's
Same
great.
publisher, yes.
And the publisher is?
Is Henry Press. They're an independent publisher based in Texas, and they specialize in cozy mysteries.
Great.
That is an incredible offer, though, for number 2. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I can see why. She's such a
You
wonderful
should probably
character.
write one in Ireland now. See?
You should go, have a sabbatical and stay in Ireland.
Right?
So I was just going to say, Gethsemane is such an interesting character. I really enjoyed her. She's determined. She's accomplished as a musician, obviously. But she also quotes Negro League baseball stats when she's nervous. She hears Tchaikovsky in her head, which I guess isn't too surprising for the musician that she is. But she also likes a nice bourbon, as her author does. Not to mention, she's open to solving mysteries with what I envision as a very handsome ghost. So, what was the inspiration behind her?
The main inspiration was that I grew up reading mysteries, especially what they'd be called Golden Age now. Agatha Christie, Naomi Marsh, Josephine Tay. The problem was that I never saw anybody who looked like me in any of those mysteries. So my question was, why aren't there any brown-skinned people solving mysteries? So why don't I write one? I want to say Toni Morrison. Her quote, which I'm about to mangle, is if you haven't read the book you need to read, you should write it.
Write it yourself.
Oh, that's good.
If you're right, I want to see someone who looks like me be the main character in the type of book that I love, so I'll write it.
That is an awesome response, because you're right. There are too far of a deficit of a variety of writers, right? Certainly in cozies, probably there's a deficit there. So
Yes, but it is changing. I'm happy to say, we've got writers like Kelly Garrett, Vivian Burns, Abby Vandiver, Cheryl Head. So it's changing slowly but surely. So it's
well, and Kelly
positive.
Garrett, like you, had a very good debut experience.
Oh, Kelly Garrett won everything.
She won everything.
Literally, I think everything.
She did. She won everything.
She has enough room in her signature block to list all of the awards she won for.
But is she a doctor too?
No, she is actually a screenwriter.
Oh, interesting.
She wrote for Cold Case, I believe.
Oh.
And we
Kelly,
said
if you're
it's
listening, if I
interesting
got your show wrong, I
Yeah.
apologize.
We just talked to Tom Straw, another
Yeah.
screenwriter. That's incredible. So, you obviously have a deep knowledge of music yourself. Do you play?
Badly. I took the requisite. Mom was deprived of piano lessons as a child, so I had to take them. So I actually
familiar.
took 12 years of piano lessons.
Oh,
but,
well, then you play
well, no,
better
I.
than the average Joe.
Well, I can sight read. I learned to read the
Okay,
notes, and
that's
I could
good.
do the technical part.
Yeah.
But no one would actually buy a ticket to come hear me play. I didn't have that.
So you
and-
write about it instead.
Yes, I write about it instead. So I buy tickets to hear people like Emmanuel Axe play, and then I just write about it. I figure they've got to have somebody in the audience. So I'll be the
But
person in the
it's
audience.
good at during holidays. You could be playing on the piano for the family.
I played for 7th grade. No, it wasn't even 7th grade. It was been like 5th grade Sunday school class.
Oh,
and
no.
yeah,
And that was the last
was-
performance.
that was it.
We'll leave it to Gethsemane Brown. How about that? Okay, so it's time for our carafe question. So we have an empty wine carafe and some questions. If you don't like it, you can pass.
Get him all
Dun,
out
dun,
there
dun.
so that we can.
Okay, I'll just randomly pick one here. Okay. I laugh because I'm curious.
Should we
now.
already do another one? Oh,
No.
oh gosh.
Have you
That
ever?
is funny.
Yeah. Well, have you ever created a character based on one of your pets? Yeah.
No.
Let's
No.
pick another one.
Which, considering that I write cozies, is not an out of the ballpark question.
Right.
Many cozies feature pets.
I know.
But
I know, but it's funny too because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, okay, cozies, they have a lot of pets in them. Sometimes they talk and things,
This is
Let's try this one. If a genie gave you a wish that you could wish for but wouldn't directly affect you, what would you wish for?
Any wish.
Any wish.
Doesn't really affect me.
Yeah.
So she couldn't just like wish for $1 million or something,
Or a 20-book contract.
right? It has to be something that doesn't affect you. Okay, that's interesting.
I think
I'm
it's
like
something
sitting
like
here
an
thinking, too.
altruistic. I think it's an altruistic wish.
Okay.
Maybe.
Actually, you know what I wish? I would wish that all those kids, I'm sure everybody's heard of this recent college admissions scandal that's
Yes.
going on, where people who already had every advantage to start with just cheated. But there have been a few stories about the kids who were struggling so hard to do things the right way. And they've gotten, there was one young woman they interviewed who works at Panera not for pocket change, because she actually has to help support her family. So she's going to a magnet school, taking college prep courses, working to help so her family doesn't end up homeless or starving. Goes to bed at like 3 a.m. And so what time she have to get up for school. I would actually, if I could wish anything, I would say that every one of those kids would get a full ride to the college of their choice, and every one of those little cheaters would get expelled tomorrow.
Oh, I want to clap.
That
to
gives
that,
me
'cause
shivers.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
gives me shivers. That is a wonderful answer. And when I heard that story, I too, the first thing I thought of is not really about the families that were paying those extraordinarily large amounts of money, but the people who didn't get in those slots.
Yeah.
That's what I
Right.
thought about.
And they just couldn't afford it, and that's,
Yeah.
I mean, crazy world.
Okay, time for another drink of wine now.
Oh,
After
yes.
that.
After that.
That was heavy.
That's
Okay.
All right.
I was laughing because I heard part of the Tom Straw interview in his book Buzzkill. I was like, was that just a buzzkill answer?
No, because we have
That's
wine.
hilarious. That was a bit, no, because we have wine, and so the buzzkill can just go away.
Buzzkill. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so Cathi and I are actively looking for literary agents for our book, and I know you have an interesting story about how you got your agent. So can you share it with our listeners?
Yes. I am a graduate of the Writer's Path program at SMU.
And what is that? What does that mean?
It's not actually an MFA program, it's a non-degree program. It's a continuing education for adults program. So it is an actual, the classes are actually offered by SMU at the Simmons School. So I think I made it through the program in about 2.5 years, but it's self-pay. It's designed for adults who have lives and can't,
Right.
quit and do a full-time MFA. So classes are in the evening. most people take like 1 or 2 classes a semester. They're in a certain order where you start with story basics and go to story and plot and chapters, and each succeeding class builds on the previous one. So you learn how to start from, I think it must have been the second class, probably story, where my instructor said, okay, you got 10 minutes, tell me your story, all the way to, 2.5 years later, where here's my finished manuscript.
Wow,
Not
that's really
polished
cool.
enough to be perfect, but a true honest to goodness finished manuscript that you can then enter into a competition for a trip to New York to actually pitch it to agents and editors.
Oh, wow.
So if you happen to be anywhere near Dallas and SMU and want to write, I highly recommend the program.
So was that where your character was born?
Yes, my first book, Murder in G Major, was actually my class assignment.
Wow, that's so cool.
It
Well, I think you got an A+. I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing. I'm just guessing. The best debut award would probably give you some sort of boost.
Yeah, they list me on their websites.
Awesome. Okay, back to Chrissy's question.
But my instructor for that class, Daniel J. Hale, who is a mystery writer himself, he was actually past president of Mystery Writers of America. So he knows everybody in the industry. When I got my contract, which I got by a random pitch, I went to DFW Con. Just 2 pitches came with our registration fee.
What's DFW Con?
It's Dallas-Fort Worth Writers Group Convention.
Oh, cool.
It happened to be in Dallas. It was within walking distance of my apartment the year that I went. So I just signed up on a whim, walked over, I forgot which 2 agents I had signed up to actually pitch with, but they were also selling extra slots there. It's like $40 you could buy whoever had a time slot available. Went up to the desk and it's like, well, what the heck? It's just practice. I wasn't expecting anything. Just needed to practice pitching this. It's like public speaking, which I'm actually terrified to do. Henry Press, they've got a slot, probably because they're early and nobody wants to get up that early. Pitched to Henry Press. The editor, Kendall Lynn, was like, we happen to be looking for a light paranormal cozy. It's like, I happen to have written a light paranormal cozy. And so she actually asked for my manuscript and I sent it and like, hey, we'd like to sign you to a contract. Daniel J. Hale also happens to be a lawyer. And somebody had said, if you get a contract, let a lawyer look at it. So he looked at it, and because he's in the industry and knows everybody, he sent it to the one who's now my agent, Paula Munier, and said, hey, this is my friend and former student who's gotten this contract. She needs an agent. Would you be willing to represent her?
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
So between luck and networking was how I landed my
That's
agent.
great.
And I am familiar with her because she writes at careerauthors.com.
Yes, she does write at careerauthors.com, and she actually has a book
she has
out
a book
herself, Borrowing of Bones, which
Yes.
is nominated for a Mary Higgins Clark Award.
Yeah.
And her agency's Talcott Notch.
Okay.
Little plug.
We're going to query.
Little plug for
Query
Paula.
right now.
That's awesome. That's a great story. I mean, that's really like a Cinderella story a little bit.
Right.
After 3 years of
After
work.
a lot of work.
So
Yeah.
Cinderella after blood, sweat, tears, and after hours, like you're putting in your day job and then doing this in the evenings.
Yes,
Yeah.
but there was, I will admit, there was some luck and
Yeah,
Good
well, it's
timing
very
in there,
much like
so.
what we heard today, right, from T. Jefferson Parker about the element of luck. Everyone has to acknowledge that does play somewhere in
Right.
this. at some
But if
point.
you're not prepared,
right,
yes, you do have to be
Do the
do
prepared.
the work first.
Yes,
Yeah.
if I hadn't had that finished manuscript, I would have had nothing to pitch at DFW
Right.
Con. So
Right.
awesome.
I love that.
Okay, so as we've been saying, you are a practicing physician in addition to writing. So how do you manage both of those things?
I actually changed the type of physician I am. I was in regular clinical primary care, 15 years of, runny noses and diabetes and high blood pressure.
Get your cough drops out. She'll check you.
But that didn't leave much time for me. It was,
Right.
a 10-hour day was a good day.
So it's not just seeing patients; it's the records as well.
It's the records. It is the
But
same
you're
patients.
in the long run, you're immune to a lot of different.
Because you've seen so much stuff.
Because you've been exposed to so much, she never gets sick.
Actually, I would notice that if anytime I changed jobs, like I'd get sick for the first 6 months and then nothing.
That's so interesting.
So it's like a new set of germs. And then
A new environmental germ kind of thing.
That's funny.
But I did realize, but after 15 years, honestly, that was enough. I mean, not having any time to do anything except, go to work, go home, eat something awful out of the back of the fridge and go to sleep. It's not how I wanted to grow old. So I switched to administrative medicine, working for the government, which has the benefit of being Mondays through Fridays with no federal holidays. So that leaves me weekends and federal holidays to do writing. And that's how I actually had the time to enroll in the program at SMU.
Great.
And so now is that kind of the schedule? Are you able to, like, how do you do your writing now with these 10-book deal that you have coming up? I mean, you still have a full-time job.
I do still have a full-time job, but I can leave the office and leave the work there because it's papers
like more of
aren't
a
gonna
9 to 5.
go anywhere.
And you're always going to have something. So you got to learn to leave it.
And I do a lot of traveling, and as Tom Stroud previously mentioned, an airplane is basically a desk. I actually get a lot of writing done on the airplane, and I actually bought a membership to various airline clubs because they've got free Wi-Fi and plugs and clean bathrooms.
Yes.
Ding, ding, ding,
I
ding,
know,
ding.
right? You have me.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of writing done on the road, and then I've got evenings and weekends.
As a matter of fact, you were in Alaska last week.
I was.
I follow you on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, so when we were setting
And
up
I saw that.
she said, I'm in Alaska. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're coming farther than Cathi does.
Which I think I might be I thought I was the furthest traveling person to Sleuthfest, to be honest with you, but I think you won. But I saw you were at a great museum in...
Yes, Anchorage has a surprisingly wonderful museum.
It looked beautiful.
It was. And then they've actually just redone it in 2017, I think. It's called the Anchorage Museum, but they've got a beautiful exhibit on Alaska culture and art. It takes up a whole floor and gives sort of the whole history of Alaska and its native peoples as well as its
That
American
sounds really cool.
people. So it's a
I
beautiful
think I went
museum.
to the Children's Museum when my kids were little in Anchorage. We had a little bit of time, so we went to the Children's Museum. It was very nice also.
Yes, I think the Children's Museum actually merged with the Anchorage Museum because they
really?
they call it the Discovery Center now. So what used to be the Children's Museum is now the Discovery Center. And I admit I hung out there for a while.
Okay.
She knows.
We have something in common. Because you do have these deadlines and stuff, I mean, do you have a regimented writing schedule, or do you just say, okay, well, this weekend I'm going to write whatever, or do you say, okay, every day I have to write this much? And
In my head, I say every day I have to write as much.
Which are you asking, the goals or the reality?
Yeah, right.
The reality is like, oh, gee, April 30th is a lot closer than I realized. I guess I better get busy. And I mean, I do, to be honest, I could just not watch Netflix and write instead. But there are some times where I have a slacker stream. So I have to turn that off. And
Slacker strain. This is an actual medical term.
Yes, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
potentially fatal. Which actually is part of why, because I'm not likely to do something like sleep or goof off in an airport or an airport lounge where there are other people around. So that honestly kind of keeps me honest. It's like I'm not going to humiliate myself, so I'm going to sit here and actually do some work.
Someone's going to see you and recognize you from all your social media. Like,
Take a picture.
she's like with a hoodie and sunglasses in the corner going, oh,
that's the author I'm reading, and she's watching Netflix. What is that about?
Okay.
That's great.
Yep. So, I have one last question. Do you have a designated writing space? And please tell me it's not like an examining table or something.
No, it is a desk in a spare bedroom of the house that I'm renting that I call my office and usually end up not using because I usually put my stuff in my bag and either go to my favorite restaurant, the Deer Path Inn in Lake Forest, or I'm packing it in my suitcase to go somewhere. So I have a lovely office set up.
Yes.
That, if I need to take a picture,
It's a good setting.
doesn't
But
necessarily
you're very
get much
fluid
use.
in when
Yes,
you can write.
I'm very
so
fluid.
that's good.
So, does this your favorite restaurant? What was the name of it again?
The Deer Path Inn?
Deer Path Inn. Do they know that
Yes.
you're there writing? I mean, are they aware of what you're doing?
Yes.
That's
and
really cool.
Probably because I'm constantly posting on Instagram. while I'm
And so guess what?
Writing
Dear Path
today.
Inn, can you please offer Alexia a free meal the next
Right.
time she's in? Because we're plugging you.
That's awesome.
Actually, to be honest, they have. I went for my birthday. They gave me a free slice of cake. And when I say cake, I literally mean a 6-inch high
Wow.
Oh my
Death by
gosh.
Chocolate
I
cake.
will. I'm gonna check out this restaurant.
They've
now.
given me the occasional free drink when I went to celebrate
Oh.
my book coming out. So they're actually, if you're ever in Lake Forest, Illinois, near Chicago,
Which is near Chicago.
And so
near
how
Chicago.
far outside of Chicago is Lake Forest?
about 40 miles north. So it's
Okay.
it's basically the suburbs of Chicago.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a wonderful, fantastic inn that I highly recommend stopping
great.
by.
Sounds wonderful.
When I get to Chicago, I'm gonna check that out.
Yes, and maybe I'll just take a food trip to Chicago.
We could meet.
fun.
We could meet and do a podcast.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Let's
Alexia
do
can
it.
come meet us and show us
All
your
right.
favorite restaurant.
All right.
Okay.
We always like to plan these trips.
We do. It's the only way we get to see each other.
Okay, so you had something to say.
What? No. What? I was just gonna say I really appreciate you being here,
Oh, yeah.
especially.
Oh, thank you for
We are
inviting me.
recording this literally at the end of a 3-day wonderful Sleuthfest conference, but Alexia had to present 3 times.
Oh wow!
And
she
is
was great, but
really
it
good.
must have been exhausting.
Yeah, so we're all a little tired, but I really appreciate you staying up late with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
But
you for inviting
before we
me.
go,
Oh yeah,
we have one final question. This is to appease you mysterious foodies out there. Which of your characters would you like to share a meal with, and what would it be?
and I'm going to tell you right now, I have got a running favorite. I really hope you pick in my mind.
Actually, I would pick Frankie Grinnin.
Kathy's striked out.
Who would you pick?
No, finish
Email.
telling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not gonna. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I would pick Frankie, and honestly, we would go to the bar at the Deer Path Inn and have like a really good whiskey and some pub food.
That sounds
Deer
yummy
Path
to me.
Inn, I'm just saying.
Yep.
Deer Path Inn.
Yep. Do you want to tell her who you thought?
Ian.
Oh, is that the ghost?
Yes. I mean, who's going to pass up a chance to do that?
The thing I like about him is he would probably feed you too. From
Well,
a
he
distance.
brought your character whiskey when she first met him, like floaty whiskey across the room, and
Yeah, so when
Murder
you're
and
like,
Jay
I'll
Major,
have
I'm just
some
saying.
wine. Do I have to lift my arms?
right? No, she didn't. He's like,
Okay.
here you go, levitating.
He still brings her coffee in the mornings. He'd probably show up at the pub anyway. And
Yeah, there
See,
you
he
go.
wouldn't.
He would just
You don't have to
haunt
invite
you.
him.
just show up. Yeah, I wouldn't have to invite him. He'd just show up.
That's awesome. Okay, so just so everybody knows that we have Alexia's most recent Fatality in F is out right now,
Yes.
available wherever you buy books, and there are many more coming.
Yes.
So get on the Gethsemane Brown train, people. It's
Right.
awesome.
Okay. And so if they have any more questions or want to reach out to you, your fans, what's the best way to reach you? Is it like Facebook? You have a website? Or...
I'm most active on Facebook at Alexia Gordon .writer and Twitter it's at Alexia Gordon. But I do have a website, alexiagordon.net, which
Okay.
has an email address on it. And my Instagram handle is at drlex1995.
She's everywhere.
She is. I follow her on social media, and I really enjoy it. She posts great, fun stuff.
Right. And we also are on social media.
We are.
At GOB Writers, and so you can reach out and tell us what you thought of our Corks in Conversation with Alexia Gordon.
And what you like to eat at Deer Path Inn.
Yes.